wealth without character is hollow and vain. I've seen way too many people who are externally rich that are suffering from internal poverty, riddled with regret, with bitterness, even depression. You can be rich in money and you can be bankrupt in your relationships. You can be bankrupt in your soul. But don't sacrifice your moral integrity. Don't sacrifice presence with your spouse, with your children. Don't sacrifice your relationship with God. Don't sacrifice other things that can contribute to the internal wealth of your life just to obtain more external wealth. Like much of our nation, I've been in a profound amount of grief for the last couple of weeks over the death of Charlie Kirk. I watched Charlie a lot, and I have friends who knew Charlie personally. I know what kind of man he was, and despite what many people may think about his politics, that's not what I'm here to talk about today. I think most of us can at least agree that Charlie was a good man, a good father, a good husband, and a good citizen, even if you don't agree with his politics. So I wanted to have an episode of Own the Exit that honors Charlie's life and his perspective without making it about politics or political at all. And I've been thinking about a clip that I watched recently from another podcast that featured Charlie as a guest. And in that podcast, he responded to Ben Shapiro's claim that there are 3 things that you need to do to build wealth in America: finish high school, get a full-time job, and get married before you have children. Now, Charlie agreed that those milestones really do matter, but he added something that really resonated with me. And that's this: become a person of high character first. And that small change reframes the whole conversation from how do I make money to what kind of person am I becoming along the way? Or what kind of person do I want to become along the way? You know, so often we focus on business building and wealth building that we forget that legacy building is the most important thing we could be giving our attention to, and time and energy. Building wealth and success is a much more holistic endeavor that involves both the internal and the external life. And I've seen way too many people who are externally rich that are suffering from internal poverty. They're riddled with regret, with bitterness, even depression. Now, as you guys all know, I'm a huge advocate of building smart, successful businesses, making smart, successful investments, and building wealth to a point of critical mass where your money is making more money than you need to live the life that you want to live. But I am equally, and always have been, a champion for doing that without losing your soul, without losing the things that matter most. And I think it starts with getting crystal clear on the fact that life should be more than just a success sequence. You know, the Brookings Institution, they did find that young people who finish high school, hold a full-time job, and marry before having kids are significantly less likely to be poor. Those kind of choices create stability. And in the interview with Charlie, he acknowledges that. And he also points out that wealth isn't just about dollars. You can be rich in money and you can be bankrupt in your relationships. You can be bankrupt in your soul. You can be wealthy with money and not wealthy with soul, or you could have both. You can have your cake and eat it too. And as someone personally who helps entrepreneurs as they build their companies, helps them build those companies in a way where they can actually step away from it, I couldn't agree more with that statement. Because money without peace, without time, without purpose is hollow and vanity. Now, Charlie explained in that interview that becoming materially wealthy is pretty formulaic if you're willing to sacrifice almost everything. If you're willing to work relentlessly, solve a real problem for real people, and dedicate your life to it. You can't expect weekends or early nights. He even mentioned in the interview that I watched that he spent more than 3,000 days on the road, flying from city to city over a decade. Now, if your only reason for living is money, you'll get it. But most people, they don't really want to be rich. They want the lifestyle that they imagine that goes with it. They want the travel, the vacations, the car, the sense of security. But they don't always want the grind. I see this every single week with business owners. They say that they want freedom and generational wealth, yet they're not willing to change how they run or build their business. They're not willing to change how they spend their money personally. I know guys that'll drop hundreds or thousands of dollars at a bar on the weekend and then complain on Monday that profits are thin. You can't have it both ways. Wealth creation requires sacrifice. It requires trade-offs. And that doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice your values or your family, but you do have to be intentional and sacrifice some things. As Charlie noted, many people who've built fortunes cut alcohol out of their lives because they knew that it steals time, it steals focus, it steals money. So ultimately, if you're going to be wealthy, you'll have to make sacrifice. Just make sure you sacrifice things that matter less than wealth to obtain it. Things like alcohol, things like Netflix. But don't sacrifice your moral integrity. Don't sacrifice presence with your spouse, with your children. Don't sacrifice your relationship with God. Don't sacrifice other things that can contribute to the internal wealth of your life just to obtain more external wealth. And that means we sometimes have to pause in our pursuit of getting or staying rich and actually ask the question, how do I define being rich? You know, Charlie made a point that I deeply agree with. Not being poor is a true blessing. Having enough money to cover your life, to pay your bills, to stay out of debt, to handle medical emergencies, to take some trips, to enjoy your family. It removes a massive amount of stress, but beyond that, more money can sometimes add diminishing returns. You know, Charlie said, and I agree with this, that his kids bring him more joy than any money ever has. And I've found the same thing to be true in my life. Having a business that doesn't depend solely on me allows me to enjoy my family without the constant weight of day-to-day operations hanging over me. And that's the real prize. It's time and freedom, not just a big bank account. And at On the Exit, we define success as being able to take time away from your business and your company and know that it'll keep growing. Now that requires the same relentless focus on solving problems that Charlie talked about, but it also requires systems and delegation and financial discipline. You have to build a team. You have to document processes. You have to resist the urge to spend and reinvest everything the business makes. You need to set aside capital for growth and invest in appreciating assets that are uncorrelated to your main business. Now, here's how I define being rich. It comes from my very first business mentor when I was 18 years old. And he told me, he said, Caleb, prosperity, or being rich, is defined as having enough money coming in that you're not trading your time for to cover the life that you want to live and have some left over. And my friend Alan calls that critical mass, where your money is making more money than you need to live. So rich is not always more. It should be better defined as enough with some left over. And that leads to another important observation from Charlie's conversation about wealth building. If you leave your kids a huge amount of money, but no financial literacy, then you're actually crippling them and hurting them. So I want to talk for a moment about why financial literacy matters. Charlie, in the interview that I watched, wondered why kids aren't taught basic money management. And I share this same frustration. A lack of financial education keeps people dependent on credit cards, high interest loans, and the government. Understanding how money works, though, is a superpower. For example, just consider a basic principle of compounding interest. Wikipedia.com explains that compounding interest means earning interest on both the original principal and the accumulated interest. And the greater the number of compounding periods, the faster your money grows. So if you start saving even small amounts early on in life, the power of compounding multiplies your money at an accelerating rate. And it works the same in reverse with debt, which is why credit card balances balloon when you only make minimum payments. So that's why I always tell our coaching clients, pay yourself first. Even if you're only making $90,000 a year, you can invest $100 a week. Skip the daily coffee shop run or cancel that extra subscription. Save systematically and invest in things that you understand. The rule of 72 tells us that money invested at a very, very low 6% annual return, takes no skill to get that, will double roughly every 12 years. So imagine what that would do over 3 decades. Now, in my primary business, we put together private placement alternative investments in real estate and oil and gas and other assets that do a whole lot better than 6% a year. So the path to wealth can be increasingly accelerated, but everything about financial literacy starts with fundamentals. You see, financial literacy can help you make better investment decisions, but it also can help you make better business decisions. You can read a P&L statement, understand cash flow. You can evaluate financing options, negotiate better terms. And Charlie mentioned that conservatives sometimes overemphasize personal responsibility and underplay circumstances, and both of those matter. Systems and education won't eliminate structural barriers, but they level the playing field for those who want to climb. And that's why we advocate for teaching budgeting, investing, responsible credit use in high schools. Now, one area where my perspective may diverge a bit from Charlie's is on the grind. He, in the interview that I watched, views relentless hustle as the only real path to wealth. Now, I do believe in working harder and working smarter. I do believe in hard work. I do believe in hustle. But I used to agree that it was the only way to build wealth. I used to glorify the 80-hour work week, but then I had seasons where I burned out. And I realized that if my business can't run without me, then I don't have a business. I have a job. If my business can't grow if my investments can't grow without me, then I don't have investments. I have another job. You see, you can work yourself to exhaustion and still not achieve financial freedom. The path that we teach on this show is different. Work hard to build systems so you can step back. Hire smart people. Empower them. Trust them. Your company should be an asset that works for you, not a job that owns you. And that's how you can pursue wealth without sacrificing your health, without sacrificing your relationships. We also talk about defining what enough looks like. You know, Charlie speaks admiringly of innovators like Elon Musk, who solve massive problems and earn billions of dollars. I agree that entrepreneurship is about serving others and solving problems at scale. But you don't have to be the guy who creates the next Tesla to build life-changing wealth. If you build a business that consistently generates profit and invest that profit wisely and live below your means, then compounding really can do the rest. So here are just a few key lessons in summary that I took from Charlie's conversation in this episode to honor Charlie Kirk and how they apply to our personal philosophy here at Own the Exit and my personal philosophy. Number one, character really does matter. Before any strategy, you need to become a person who keeps their word, who treats people well, and pursues purpose in your life, because wealth without character is hollow and vain. Number two, you need to define your version of rich. Do you want money? Do you want time? Do you want impact? What combination of all three do you want? And build a business, build a lifestyle that supports that. Number three, accept trade-offs. Wealth creation requires sacrifice, but those sacrifices don't have to be your family and they don't have to be your health. Sacrifice unnecessary expenses and distractions, not the things that matter more than the money that you're sacrificing for. Number four, get financially literate, not just on how to build and grow a business and entrepreneurial skill, but learn how interest and investing and taxes work. Use the power of compounding interest in your favor. Avoid high interest, useless credit card debt. The fundamentals are always going to be there and are always going to be important. Never forget them. Next, build systems, not just a grind. Work hard, but work on your business, not just in it. Work on it, not just in it. Create processes, create teams, so that your company can grow with or without you. And then invest consistently. Pay yourself first, live below your means, and invest in good companies, good hard assets. And over time, small contributions can grow into significant wealth thanks to the power of compounding. Charlie Kirk reminds us that wealth is not simply about following a formula. It's about values and it's about choices. I really appreciate his candor about the sacrifices that are required and his belief that money is less important than family and virtue. At the same time, I want you to know that there is a way where you can build wealth without burning yourself out. Own the Exit exists to help entrepreneurs design businesses that produce both financial freedom and time freedom, to focus on solving real problems, building systems, getting educated about money, and decide what enough looks like for you. And that's how you truly own the exit.